Okay, so I'm going to put brace plates in here. I've also got to fill this gap. Now I don't really need the OEM gap filler, which are about 30 quid second hand, so I was going to place it over anyway. And it's causing obviously a massive issue with rigidity, being a big hole in it. So I'm going to put a plate right the way across that hopefully will tie in with the structural. These little creases here are functional, but also they add rigidity and strength. So we're going to tie into those. We'll have to get rid of some of these wire brackets, but it's easy enough to replace them. And the plate will go all the way across along the back side of this, and then it will also tie into the master cylinder, and it will look something like this. So we better cut that out now, and then we're going to put probably a little slice in either side there, a little sort of a little H slice. So it'd be something like that, and that'll open up as a flap to basically get on the back of these here, because I want the panel to go over that and catch the bottom edge of that, which is the back here of the main bulkhead brace, and I want it to go all the way up under here to catch the top of there, and that will hopefully strengthen up that whole area. And then whenever I want to put wiring in or whatever, I'm going to have to cut new holes anyway, so I might as well just plate the lot up, be done with it. So let's cut that out and weld it in there. A bulkhead with a lot of holes, some carefully chosen, some just whacked through, and then a piece of metal which I've spent too long shaping. That's actually the Mark II piece, and that doesn't look much. There's a lot of fettling and a little bit of bends and the end creases and just getting the shape just right. The 4 holes obviously for the pillow bearings. So we're going to go and have a cup of tea, start cooking some dinner. Letting this etch primer dry, and then we'll be welding that in and weld up whatever it is. I've just spotted it. Where has it gone? There it is. We'll weld those suckers up and cut the rod to the right length, and then that'll be ready just to get sorted. And we've got a little bracket to make for that puppy, and I think maybe the next thing you'll see is me fitting it. That would be nice. And then of course just turning the key to start the engine. Great! Brap, brap. So that sort of has worked a bit of a treat. We've reduced the movement on the firewall by probably 90%. However, there's just a little bit of movement still, so we've braced it up there against the scuttle panel to help reduce that movement. I'm also going to now I've made this paper template or cardboard template, so it'll be I'll just use some 1mm steel. Make that up, and that'll brace it from triangulation up to there, and that should allow it. And obviously there's a cutout for the bar to get me in and out, and then here just the tiniest fraction, 1/2 mil maybe, when you put it in full pressure, this wants to kick out, so I'm going to make this triangulation here as well, just to strengthen the bulkhead, which will just sit sort of here so it won't be in the way. So we'll just transfer that to steel then and weld those in, and they're in. So I think there's one little tiny weld I just want to do across the top of there, which I forgot about. I'm getting there with the welding. I have these little moments where I've got this lovely weld. Oh yeah, sweet. And then it's like nothing some grinder and lots of paint won't cover up. But there we go. So they're in, and we've got that little piece welded in round there. And so it's all bolted back in just for test, and nothing is moving now. I can push as hard as I want on the brake pedal, and nothing is twisting or moving around. So that, as far as I'm concerned, is complete. I've also got some neoprene, sticky back neoprene, that we're going to use on this plate here and on the plate that will cover this, because there's some heater hoses to go through, and for this here as well. So that will go on the other side, and it'll obviously stop weather and stuff coming in and out. Right, it's freezing cold. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea and some food, and then we're going to start working on another template I've got somewhere. There it is, for the gear linkages. So there's our template coming together. So let's empty the Mini out in a minute and get on with that. Righty then! It's very dark outside. It's very cold in here. I've gone delirious. I took the thermals off today, and I am regretting it. Anyway, I made this. Oh. So what's this? This is the beginnings of the mount for this. Well, it doesn't make the choo-choo sounds, but it enables you to change between choo-choo sounds. Quite important, really. 5 forward, 1 reverse. Kind of flops around, though, unless you make a mount for it. So we can't use the original plastic one. It's too big. So instead, we make a slimline one that will go flat to the floor. So it's going to go on like that. So we made the plate, 2mm steel. Got some little bobbin things to go on to fit onto that. Made some 10mm spacers. And we put some captive nuts on it. So now it's a case of put that together, put it in the car, and we work out how we kind of weld this into the car. Basically, that's going to sit in the car like that. So you'd think it sits kind of like that, but actually that's first gear leaning forward. So we've actually got to sit it like that, so then neutral is there, and first gear is there, and third is there, or something like that. If all else fails, I'll chop that and move it into position. Gear shifter. Sort of complicated bit of the gear shifter with the spacers and the little nubbules to go into here. Slight bit of shaving, just a tiny bit, just to make it a neat install. And then this is going to get welded into there. It's a pretty tight fit, but something like that. And then that as a unit will get welded to the mini floor. Like that. There it is, welded up. And just 1 bolt in, just to show you. Cool. So if I'm moving the whole workbench, that's probably pretty good. Alright, let's buzz this off and just show you. So there's 2 M8 bolts. It was just some nasty threads into and screws into a plastic housing on the original Ford, but we got rid of that idea. Didn't like that. So it's shaking you around there, so hopefully you can just see as well. No, I'll show you. Just take it off. So we pop that off. So there's our spacers. Nuts are welded in behind, and our mount made up. 2mm plate steel. Not great welding, but not the worst either. I do find so much easier when it's thicker. The thin stuff is what I've always welded, and I've always struggled, and it kind of makes sense. Now I sort of think about it, that obviously is a lot harder. So next job is to clean up in the Mini and weld this into the Mini. Okay, so that's what it looks like welded in. Welded those 2 plugs up, and added the little plate on the side. All we need to do now is test fit to make sure actually I've welded in the right place. I did check before I completely welded in. I want to have a good feel of that, and that will get just wire wheeled and seam sealed round from above and below eventually, and then we need to make that hole a little bit less like I've just bashed it with a chisel. It might move a little bit further forward into that part of the tunnel, and we'll make a plate to cover it all with some 2mm steel, or well, 1mm probably do it, with some supports. So let's just get it in and show what it looks like when it's in. So there it is in. Here we go. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Always takes a bit of a thing to get into reverse, into forwards and reverse. 5-speed. Oh yeah. That's the mount. That's our recessed plate that will hold the gear cables and the mount in that. We'll throw it in now and show what it looks like. And there it is in place. So all we need to do now is just seam seal around there. We'll seam seal top and bottom, and then basically the next job for this area is underneath. So we'll get it up on the front subframe, the rear subframe, and then we can wire wheel the underneath, and then we can underseal the tunnel. Obviously we've ground off loads of underseal for that area for welding. Get the whole area undersealed. Probably shortly before that, we'll just work out where we're putting the mounts for brake lines and fuel line. So that's it, I think, for this episode, I expect. That's gears, pedals, controls, and we'll move on now to the subframe and fitting that and doing the other side next. So thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe and like. Do all the usual exciting things with your buttons on your screen. Oink oink. One is going to bed.